the difference between direct communication and indirect communication, and how in direct cultures we state the facts openly, you just come to the point. Languages, the words we use are very important. Say what you mean what you say. It's something we say in the United States. Whereas in an indirect culture, we often consider other people's feelings and harmony and things like that. And often, information is shared through third parties. So, quick tip here. If you're an American or foreigner working in a Taiwanese environment and you don't feel like you're getting all the good information, my advice to you is cultivate somebody, a go-between, a middleman, somebody or a middlewoman, a go-between in Taiwan who can help give you the right information. Because that's a very common value in Taiwan. People often use third parties to get the real feedback from people. You need to find somebody who's got their ear to the ground, is trustworthy, that understands this, but there's nothing wrong with doing that. That's the way things work culturally. But also be cued into nonverbal communication. Body language is a very important one. Facial expressions. That's why I believe in this culture, face-to-face communication often trumps virtual communication, because you can actually read somebody's posture and body language. You can kind of see what they're looking like when they're talking to you. But anyhow, that's just a quick overview. The other thing that we talk about with communication is Taiwan we talk about high context versus low context culture. You probably can't see this from your seat, but the Chinese are considered very high context culture. Chinese, Taiwanese, Japanese. That means that a lot of what you say to somebody has to be looked at with the context around it. You need that extra context to people. You need to understand how, in what context are they saying something to you, because the content itself is very low. The language they're using may be very vague. And so you have to understand the bigger, broader picture to really understand what they're trying to say to you. And this is not easy. It takes time. That's why building relationships is very important. Whereas the United States, over here we have Germany, of course, which is very, on the other extreme, is what we call low context culture and very high content. The words themselves carry lots of weight, and what you say specifically is going to be very clear so the other person understands. And this is just a cultural difference, right? You're not going to change people too much. You have to understand this and work with it, because if you don't, you're going to be banging your head against the wall. There are strategies, and that's why I say intercultural training is good, because we could talk about this for 1 or 2 days, but I just want to give you an idea. Some basic tips, I think you already know this basic stuff. Speak clearly and slowly, pause for responses, don't interrupt. Frequently summarize and check for comprehension. I always say never ask yes or no answer questions. Don't say, do you agree with this? Are you okay with this? Yes, no. That's all you're going to get. Check for comprehension. Okay, you like this idea? Can you explain to me how you're going to implement it? Or can you tell me more about how you're going to go about doing this? Or can you explain, you need to get more information. Don't settle for yes or no answers, because that's all you're going to get if that's the kind of question you ask. Go on. Okay, so real quick, I don't want to spend too much time on this. One more point I didn't mention earlier too in this regard is Americans in particular, be very, very careful about sports slang, sarcasm, and things like that, because it goes right over people's heads. Americans love to use sarcasm in their communications, and Taiwanese just take it literally, like in Japanese and some Koreans, many Asians do. They're like, huh? Why are you saying that? Sports slang, right? If you go to your Taiwanese colleagues and say, we're on the 5-yard line and we're going to score a touchdown with this one, what? Now, if you use baseball terminology, maybe they know what you're talking about. If you say we're going to hit a home run with this one, then maybe they know what you're talking about. But be careful, because even my American friends who have lived in Taiwan for decades, they pepper their language with these expressions, and they just forget that it's not registering.